Have you ever had one of those claps where you do kind of, it's almost like you forget how to clap? I mean, you literally are like, wait, God, what am I doing?
My hands don't work right now.
No, but seriously, like, if you ever forgot, like, I mean, like, seriously, not being funny, like, forget how to, like, swallow. Or forgot how to breathe or something. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but, like, every once in a while, you're like, oh, God.
I think it's more like a mental game, like, where you kind of psych yourself out because you're like afraid, like, oh
you
God,
focus on it too much or something.
Like, have I forgotten how to breathe? Have I forgotten how to swallow?
Heaven forbid.
This is Epic BATTLECRY Skirmish 208. Addie Lennox's truck stop!
Hello and welcome to Epic BATTLECRY. This is
Squaw.
the place where we cut through the crap, although probably not tonight. To bring you the
Squawk!
No. That's Brent.
Same.
And here's Daniel. I'm Tony. DK, how you doing?
I'm doing great, TG in 3D, and just like every game that is not GTA 5, it's been pretty uneventful for me the last couple of days, aside
There
from...
are games that aren't GTA 5?
Yeah, I know. Wow. I know. You wouldn't know it. But we'll be talking about that in our main topic this week. But to answer your question, I'm doing well. So it's good to be here on episode 208. Isn't it great? Let's celebrate, and other things that rhyme with 8.
I thought you said you'd given up bad jokes. Or no, that was just bad puns. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
No, I didn't say I gave them up. I passed on a couple just because they were too easy.
Passed on one because it was too easy. Yeah.
Too easy. Yeah.
It's nice to know that you're being selective these days.
That's right. Selective punnage.
Unlike the good old days.
Brent, how you doing, man?
What's up, my ruffians of ransacking? My hooligans of horror! How art thou?
I feel like you're taking the mickey out of it today, Lil.
I'm not recording on layer.
Afraid to.
He can't let
I'm
loose.
not usually this close to TSA personnel.
He's at an undisclosed location.
Let's just say this. Let's just say that attracting attention at this moment might not be the most healthy thing for me or my cornhole. So, anyway. Let's just leave it at that.
All right, so I just want to make sure that you're stating that if you open your mouth any wider than it currently is, that you might attract.
It sounds weird when you say it like that. Jeez.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's totally natural.
All right, so this is going to be a weird one. We're
gonna.
All right, well, we got plenty of stories to go over this week. Not really. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out this week. I think we can pretty much wrap it up now, can't we?
There you go. Done and done.
All right, let's go ahead and run through the gauntlet.
Gauntlet!
All right, guys, we're here in the gauntlet, and here are some stories that don't have anything to do with Grand Theft Auto 5. So, first up is the announcement that Valve is looking into some hardware opportunities. Brent, what new story is this week about them bringing out some kind of Steam box?
So this week, Gabe Newell was speaking at LinuxCon, giving a keynote talking about gaming and Linux, and dropped a hint that we might find out about Valve's plans for hardware and possibly the fabled Steam box a lot sooner than later. So here's what we know right now. Newell said, obviously, he's talked about in the past that Windows 8 is detrimental for PC gaming. They've taken a long, hard look at Linux. The Steam box is rumored to be a Linux piece of gaming hardware, and we might find out about this next week if rumors and innuendo are to be believed. He says next week, this is the quote, next week, we're going to be rolling out more information about how we get there and what are the hardware opportunities that we see for bringing Linux into the living room. So in theory, on next week's show, we might actually finally be able to talk about whatever it is that that Valve has planned. Of course, they've made a big push on Linux with releasing Steam for it, as well as some of their big titles, Left 4 Dead 2 among them, and it's actually gone rather well for it. Steam right now has 198 games on the Linux platform, and if you look at Kickstarter, that's a really common theme that you see, like games that are looking for funding there very often will be Mac, PC, and Linux compatible. So I don't know. I mean, it's really going to be interesting to see what happens when Valve throws their weight behind Linux and gaming on Linux. Is it going to be something like we saw with Mac when Valve said that they were going to support Mac, and now we see that Mac is actually getting games in some cases day and date with PC and console counterparts. Certainly the landscape has changed on the Mac side of things since Valve got involved. Can they do the same thing for Linux? And will they be able to drag other people along with them? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, forget about Steam throwing its weight around. We just need Gabe Newell to throw his weight around if we want to see some change. But the fact remains...
Listen, we're not trying to shift the orbit of the planet here.
Right.
All right?
The fact remains that, Linux in the living room is probably a good idea. They instituted the big picture mode that was introduced last year by Steam.
Sure.
If anybody's going to do this and get that to happen, it's going to be a company like Valve with the platform of Steam. And I think that it'd be an overall good thing. And I think that this mysterious Steam box it just needs to be finally announced, and whatever their plans are, hopefully that will be what was alluded to here doesn't sound like it's going to be that big of an announcement. With that, I mean, maybe they're going to hint at stuff, but I'm ready for the big thing. I think we've all been in the dark for too long. Let's find out what their big plans are, and let's discover what alternatives are going to be to traditional PC gaming and whatnot provided by the Steam platform, and see what they have to say and evaluate it. But they are the type of company, they are the company actually, that could make some noise in this sector.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know exactly what everybody is expecting from the Steam box, because to be brutally honest with you, I think PC gamers, the thing they like about it is kind of having the ultra uber high performance, the complete customization of their experience. And I feel like the whole kind of concept of the Steam box is to make something maybe a little less expensive, a little more kind of friendly to the living room space, kind of more in the line of like a console. Not knowing what kind of power we're talking about, I don't necessarily know that I think that this would be a game changer unless they come out with something that is a game changer, like just the concept alone.
What if they call it the game changer?
That
could be a game changer.
Oh yeah, like you could say you can't say it's not a game changer.
Yeah.
And then you give them the double guns, you point at them, with your fingers and your thumb sticking straight up. You know what I mean?
Because you can change games in the system. I'm hoping. I mean, if it's a one system, one game on the system, that wouldn't really make a lot of sense.
Awesome.
But no, I don't know. I don't know. I don't necessarily know that a box that's just going to play the Steam games we've got now, unless it just comes out and the hardware is better than either the two next-gen consoles that's coming to your living room.
Yeah.
I just don't really see that it has too exciting of a place in the future. But, we'll find out. It'll be interesting to see, because they really have been kind of teasing this for quite some time now.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Let me just introduce an idea that I've had about this. Because I think for a long time I was also kind of thinking that this was going to be some kind of weird hybrid console or PC kind of device thing. But the more I think about it, the more I think that what they actually are going to be doing, well, at least maybe could work in a sense. And this is kind of what I think. They've talked about how Steambox is not necessarily a device so much as a platform. Like a standard or something like that, for hardware.
Yeah.
And if you look at the complaint that Newell is making about Windows 8, he's talking about the unopen nature of Windows 8. So the idea that they're going to complain about Windows 8 not being open enough and then kind of invent their own closed system seems counterintuitive to me. What I think maybe they're doing, and this is I am literally just making this up as I talk.
It's obvious.
But what I think they might be doing, what I think they might be doing is they might be trying to essentially popularize gaming on Linux. I think that they think if we can just get onto an open platform that is inherently open and just move gaming over there, it'll be better for the long run. It's well, how do we do that? I mean, sure, we could put out Steam and we could put out Left 4 Dead on Linux, but that's not going to make all the major third-party publishers and studios actually support Linux as a platform. For that, we have to get people invested in it. And maybe the idea of the Steam box is sort of a shortcut to that. Maybe the idea of actually putting out a piece of hardware that in and of itself is just sort of an example of what you can do on that platform. Maybe that's the idea behind it. Maybe they put out a piece of hardware that can play 198 plus games from the Steam Linux library, but having the hardware out there, getting people to actually invest in the hardware, and basically proving the concept as being worthy, maybe that's kind of their thing, that they're just trying to find some way of popularizing the concept, and the concept is gaming on Linux. That's what they're trying to sell people on, and the Steam box is sort of a means to that end for them.
Seems like they could just put a link to Ubuntu like on the front page of Steam and kind of serve that same purpose, but I guess that would be a little too easy.
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but I think that that's the thing to keep in mind with all this. I think that the thing to remember in all of this is Valve wants to move gaming onto Linux. I think that is their goal, and whatever the Steam box is, I think it's going to be in pursuit of that goal.
Well, and Linux in the living room sounds sexy, so for some reason.
Linux anywhere sounds sexy.
That's true.
Linux in the bathroom.
Linux doesn't sound sexy anywhere. I really don't know
Linux in the bathroom, Linux in the back seat, Linux in a truck stop. Oh, you're right. Bad idea.
You're not talking about Annie Linux, are you?
Okay, no, I need to reevaluate this.
I feel like I should take a shower. All right, so next up, we do have the announcement that we're going to be seeing the Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures hitting Steam next week. Maybe playable on Linux for some stupid fucking reason. DK, you want to tell us how excited are you about this?
I am excited. I'm very excited. The gang at Screw Attack Games and Game Freak have been working very hard on the Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. We've talked about it on this show a couple of times, but now we finally know the release date. And guess what? It's coming very soon. Monday, September 23rd, which is this upcoming Monday. You'll be able to pick it up via Steam, as we were just talking about. And for those who don't know, here's the official description of the game. Influenced by retro classics, Mega Man and Castlevania, Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures features the Angry Video Game Nerd and friends as they blast their way through 10 levels of fun, fast-paced 2D action based on the AVGN's adventures in his online series. Plus, it's really damn hard. That's all I know, and it's hard for a reason. Actually, Craig from Screw Attack said that this is the most rewarding game of 2013, and the reason why he's saying that is because it's going to take some effort.
It ain't easy.
It ain't easy, but once you do, you'll have that sense of accomplishment. So I've been looking forward to this one. I think it's kind of fun and funny and entertaining, and also a throwback. Some of the things we talk about on this show all the time, just kind of the simplistic nature of the old school games. But when I did play it at wherever the hell I was, E3 I think it was really entertaining, and I'm looking forward to checking out the final game. It's about $15 on Steam, coming out this Monday, so that's all you need to know. Are you guys thinking that you'll check this one out as well, or what?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I'm excited about this on a number of levels. Number one, it looks like a legitimately fun game. Number two, I think that it could not have happened to a greater guy in James or the people around him. And Craig and everybody at Screw Attack, they've always been awesome. So I think that it's a great story about the video game industry and that we've talked before about that kind of subtle influence back and forth between development and critics and commentators and things like that.
Yep.
And it's so fascinating to kind of think about James and the character of the Angry Video Game Nerd and all of the the fun that he's had talking about these classic games, both why they're good and why they're bad, and now sort of in a sense putting that into practice and say, okay, well, if you could do a game of your own, what would you do? Like, what would you have taken? What would you have learned from all of that game playing, all of that reviewing, and what would you do if you had your own game? I find that to be a really fascinating concept.
Yeah,
and,
this is it. And I just want to make one correction. I don't know what I said. Freak Zone is the developer. I think I said Game Freak or something.
You said Game Freak, and I started thinking, I was like, wow.
No,
Freak Zone's the developer, Screw Attack's the publisher.
Sorry.
But anyway, to answer your question,
late.
I am absolutely going to play this. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree, man. It looks badass. I don't know what it is. I know it's this. Like there's always like simple things that just that catch my eye, and I think are so cool. I love the effect, like when you're blowing up the whatever aliens or the bad guys, whatever, they explode in almost like a 3D fashion towards the screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the coolest. It's like the coolest effect ever. Yeah, the game just looks awesome. Looks super fun. I love the old school vibe of it. I love like the pixel art style graphics.
And the fact that it's going to be old school hard. Yeah,
absolutely.
The fact that it's going to take some work. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's badass. Very, very, very cool, and can't wait. And also does one of the things that we talk about how much we enjoy. They announce a release date, and it's like in a few days.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
which is
very,
cool.
very cool.
We've known about the game. They've told us that it's coming.
Yeah.
And then when it's finally ready, they're like, okay, now it's ready.
There you go.
Boom.
All right.
I
well,
agree.
something.
I think there's a lot that could be learned from this, but that lesson more than most.
Yeah. No, seriously, very, very cool. And I wish them absolutely the best. Make sure you go pick it up on Steam. All right, so next up, another game that we've been hearing quite a bit about, but is unfortunately this one I think is much further in our future. We got another character added to the roster of Smash, the new Smash Brothers for the 3DS and the Wii U. Brent, who can you play as now?
Princess Peach, obviously. She's been a stalwart of the series since the GameCube, right?
Yeah.
I had a GameCube. I think actually I got a Wii too. I was going to say it's the last Nintendo system I bought, but not true. Anyway, Princess Peach is joining the likes of Mario, Luigi, Link, Samus, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Fox, Pikachu, Bowser, Pikmin, Olimar, Villager Pit, Mega Man, and Wii Fit Trainer.
Wii Fit Trainer.
And probably a roster of others that we don't even know about yet.
Rule.
For Super Smash Brothers on the 3DS and the Wii U. Of course, this is the wildly popular mash-up fighter that Nintendo has. Did Nintendo are they the ones that kind of invented this whole mash-up fighter thing with Super Smash Brothers? Was there anybody that did
I don't know. I'd say the
them?
first one had been like Fighters Megamix on the Saturn from Sega.
Okay,
They brought all their characters in.
Anyway, but obviously long-standing and a very successful, popular franchise for Nintendo. The fact that the Princess Peach is going to be in this game is not really news in the sense that she's been in the other games, and I guess there was the expectation she would be in this one. So I suppose the question is, why did someone write all this information down?
Well,
Daniel.
It's an opportunity to discuss whether or not this game and the Wii U is going to be even relevant in 2014 when this title comes out.
That is a good question.
So, yeah. I think Princess Peach, obviously being the segue, things, that the addition of her as a character isn't a huge headline, but whether or not this game. But by the way, I do want to use the opportunity of her announcement to commend you on your Halloween costume last year, Brent, because you make one hell of a Princess Peach. And,
I know, right? You wouldn't expect it for a guy my size, but I actually really pull it off.
You really do pull it off, and you pull it off well. So I hope things are equally as peachy this Halloween for you. But anyway, the bottom line is that I don't know what Nintendo is going to be looking at when this game comes out finally with the Wii U, with the star power of a title like Super Smash. Is it going to be enough? Is the Wii U going to be relevant by the time this game comes out, considering the impending launch of the Xbox One and PS4?
I think that Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are going to very comfortably move back into the positions that they were in this time last year. Not necessarily in overall sales, because obviously the Wii, vastly outsold the other two. But in terms of the zeitgeist, in terms of sort of the culture around those consoles, in terms of the third-party support, and in terms of the kind of brand loyalty that the base for each of those consoles has, I have to say I don't see that changing too significantly over the course of the next year. Beyond that, I don't know, but it seems to me that Nintendo's doing okay. They don't have the stellar install base that they did with the Wii, but let's face it. The people who own the Wii U and are actively playing it are probably about the same. That's probably about the same amount of people that were actively playing their Wii. Tons and tons of people bought the Wii and it sat on the shelf and went nowhere. So the install base was not necessarily representative of the fan base for the console. Whereas with the Wii U, I think it probably is more representative.
Yeah.
I definitely think you have a very valid point. I think in general, the way Brent described it is probably the way things will be. I think it might be just a hair better represented than at this time, like when the new Smash Brothers comes out next year. I think there might be a little bit better look for Nintendo at that point, because they will have had the Zelda HD remake of Wind Waker, which I think, even though it's a remake, I think not a lot of people necessarily played it the first time around. So I think there are quite a few people. They're bringing out a new system, a new console with some Link-inspired decorations and whatnot around it. So I think that will do something. I think the new Super Mario Brothers Land 3D, whatever it's called now. I think that will sell some units this year. I think the new Mario Kart and the and Smash Brothers at that time.
Yeah.
I think by the time Smash Brothers comes out, I think you will actually have quite a few of Nintendo's biggest franchises that aren't represented on the Wii U yet represented at that point. Yeah. And I think you'll probably start to see maybe, even though you see like waning support for places like Ubisoft, which I don't blame Ubisoft for their position, although I do think that there is something to be said that I think they could have brought out, if they brought out Rayman back when they kind of originally promised it, maybe that would have been a little bit of a it would have been a big deal at the time, and maybe would have caught them on a better path. So, but anyway, I think you might see third parties a little bit better supporting it after the holidays. Frankly, once it kind of gets out of this whole Wii U versus Xbox, Xbox One and PS4, it'll just be, hey, all the systems are out. Pick the one you like that has the games you like on it, and hey, pick a second one maybe for the other games you want.
As silly as it sounds, and I just want to give my 2 cents on this thing because I don't know how much we're going to be talking a lot about Microsoft and Sony in the upcoming months, and probably not as much about Nintendo. But for me, I really feel as I say all the time, the thing that fascinates me is it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's how you present things. And from day one with the Wii U, it's always been not just my opinion but other people's opinion that my specific thought was this platform should have been presented as a transitionary platform, not a next-gen type of thing from that. Because when I think about playing this game or playing the games that you were just talking about, and I think about it being on an enhanced version of the Wii, but not quite what they're promising as their next-gen thing, knowing that in the background they're still working on their actual next-gen piece of hardware, it all of a sudden becomes more compelling. It's not like this is all they have to offer. But they're innovating. They're trying to do something different with the controller and offer a different type of experience. If they would have called it, instead of the Wii U, like the Nintendo Go or something, where you could just have your controller and be on the go with it in your house or whatever. Just what I'm saying is, if they would have just marketed this thing better and been upfront and said, look, this is our next enhancement. People were talking about the Wii HD coming out. Like, okay, great. Well, you got, if they could release a 3DS and then a 2DS and whatever, they're always iterating on their consoles. Instead of saying this is our next gen thing, this is like just a little bit of a step to do something different and get these great games in HD on, but not quite what we're really looking forward to, which is the big thing we'll be talking about later on down the road. I think that would have dramatically impacted our level of enthusiasm for Nintendo and its products in this current day and age, because right now it seems pretty waning. I mean, there's only a few things that are coming out that I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're doing with Zelda, but aside from that, I mean, gosh.
I mean, this is always the same argument against Nintendo's systems, though, right? Like, I mean, admittedly, they had more Wiis in homes, the last time around, and they have many fewer Wii U's in homes right now. But I think that Nintendo is until they decide to maybe do the Sega thing, which is just get out of hardware and go to other platforms, which I do not see them doing anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be that sort of that third option, which is maybe not nearly as popular as the other two in terms of just raw numbers, but is popular enough to keep the company kind of out there making games. It's just they do kind of have their niche, and I think they'll keep it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's definitely it's definitely a fair criticism, and I do kind of agree with you that I think their marketing of it was not great. Although, to be honest with you, I think if they had came out marketing it the way you just described, I think we would have been beating them up just as badly. Like, really?
Yeah,
you're going to bring out a transitional system, and you can't bring out new
hardware.
hardware.
Buy a piece of hardware and then
get the fuck out of here,
and then buy another piece of hardware a couple years later.
Yeah,
like that would have not gone over well.
But I do agree that I think it could have been. I think could have been marketed just a little bit better. All right, so last but not least of the Gauntlet stories today, we've got the news that the Fable Anniversary edition is going to be delayed until next year. DK, how sad does this make you?
Well, not that sad. Fable's making a comeback. Fable, obviously Fable Legends was recently revealed as the Xbox One exclusive that is multiplayer focused, having some really innovative things that we talked about on this show. So it looks like the return of Fable as a franchise is doing well, but Fable Anniversary, which is a HD remake of the original, was originally slated to release later this year, but lo and behold, we did get a word from Lionhead earlier last week. Lead designer Ted Timmons took to the game's official website to announce that they need a little more time in order to meet their ambitions for the project and to deliver the best game possible. So what that means is that Fable Anniversary is not going to be hitting Microsoft's platform until February 2014. What that can, however, mean, though, is that we might see the game available on the Xbox One. I don't know. I mean, of course, through digital distribution, if it'll have any enhancements or what, but This game's being designed for the Xbox 360, so let's see what they do with it. But at the same time, Fable fans are going to have to hold off just a little while longer to see what this HD remake is all about. But again, for me, as somebody who used to really dig this franchise, I think Fable Legends is kind of the golden nugget to look forward to more information on. But Fable Anniversary does seem like something definitely to tide people over, at least introduce people to the franchise if they've never been exposed to it before. So what do you guys think about the Fable franchise in general, and how will the delay of Fable Anniversary overall impact its sales, do you think?
I don't know. I think that there's enough things to keep people busy between now and in February next year that it'll do okay. I mean, honestly, if it was going to come out, like even if they release like right now this second, there is so much competition, coming out over the course of the next six to 8 weeks or so. There's so many big AAA titles, so many things that we've been hearing about all year and for years prior to that are finally going to be coming out this holiday or this fall. That honestly, the fact that it's getting pushed back, it may not necessarily be a bad thing. It could find itself in a release window where there's a little bit less competition from new titles, things that aren't remakes of games that people have already played.
Yeah.
It might actually fare a little bit better with in that sort of climate.
Yeah, it could also benefit, because I totally agree with you, Brent. I think that if it comes out at a better time where just you're not up against as big a competition, you're more likely to just get that kind of visual that you wouldn't have. But I also think it could possibly benefit from just the popularity of just the kind of rebirth of the Fable franchise.
Mm-hmm.
If we see this Xbox One exclusive game, we see more of it and people get more and more excited about, which I got to be honest, I don't care about Fable at all, but the new exclusive title, the little bit they've shown so far, that does look very cool to me. And that might kind of pique my interest enough to when this anniversary edition comes out, whether it's before or after that game, just kind of get you a little more excited. Might be a little bit more likely to pick it up. Mm-hmm. And basically just doesn't come in that middle of the time where people are just gonna be dropping money on next gen titles and only new stuff. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea.
Could be a good Valentine's Day gift for yourself as a gamer, or as we gift things to ourselves on Valentine's Day. Who doesn't do that, by the way?
Who doesn't buy themselves Valentine's Day presents? Just about everybody.
They do the what's the old pat, like you're special and someone loves you, or whatever that gag.
Daily affirmations.
Gosh darn it, people like you. I mean, not real people. It's
who's
yourself.
going to be doing
Give
that this
yourself a
Valentine's
present,
Day?
You loser.
Peter Molyneux.
All right, guys. Well, we are here in this week's main topic, and of course, we're talking a little bit about Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't know, for those of you that have been living under, a moon or something, you might not know that
substantially larger than a rock.
Yes,
exactly. That's where I was going for. But you might not know that Grand Theft Auto 5 has finally been released, a huge release. But there's, with all of the high praise that the game is getting in terms of its overall, the visuals and the scope and just the sheer amount of things you can do, there's actually been some criticism of certain aspects of the game. So DK, you want to kind of dive in a little bit as to what maybe some people were thinking could maybe not be such a great thing about the new game?
Sure. So Grand Theft Auto 5, as you mentioned, plenty of accolades and, taking the industry by storm. There's basically nowhere online you could look this week and not see Grand Theft Auto 5. We should.
I found some place.
Christian Science Monitor.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we should mention that we're recording this on the day that it comes out. So as far as like our actual exposure and playing the game, I'm pretty sure I speak for us all when I say it's limited at the time of this recording. But
that beat it.
Yeah. That being said. The angle here is the fact that while we all are aware of what a technical achievement this is, and probably the last great gigantic big game of this console generation and whatnot, there's been some discussion, particularly the review by The Escapist, about the three protagonists, Michael, Trevor, and Franklin, and kind of their approachability or their relatability, and how Rockstar might have missed an opportunity to not just create a great technical game, but actually to tell a great story, as the GTA series has done in the past with other things. But it brings up the discussion about developing character within the worlds of interactive entertainment, because inherent to the medium is a sense of association with the character, because you're involved with the character on varying degrees depending on the game. But unlike every other medium where you have the opportunity to disconnect in the world of interactive entertainment with main characters, you are connecting with them directly. And so what you do and how you do it and how the character is portrayed often becomes more of an issue within the world of video games than it does within other mediums. So the knock here is that these guys that make up the game, at least in the opinion of the Escapist, are pretty much just jerks, douchebags, scumbags, whatever, that don't really earn a lot of sympathy from you. They're just money hungry kind of lowlives, and it begs the question: do you need to have characters that people can relate to, or maybe some people do relate to certain aspects of those characters, or is that the entire point of what Rockstar is doing, is to make something completely unrelatable? Personally speaking, I've said 100 times before, GTA isn't the type of game that tickles my fancy. I'm not even very much interested in playing GTA 5, even though I'm sure I'll check it out. It's just not because of those things, actually. I mean, I think, watching the videos, looking at a character like Trevor, he looks friggin' hilarious and crazy, but it seems like there's only so much of that I could take. But one of the big knocks the Escapist had is that, you're doing really, really vicious, violent things with these characters in a way that isn't just about like, hey, I'm going to do this in order to get a goal. It's just like these guys are really bad people, and you're experiencing that and actually executing those actions for them. So what do you guys think about the issue of having relatable characters, particularly within the world of GTA, and from what you've been exposed to thus far, what do you think about Rockstar's achievements here?
So there's kind of three things that I was thinking about as we were preparing for the show today. The first is, and I actually sent an email to Greg Tito, who wrote this review for The Escapist, and I just asked him, have you ever played a Grand Theft Auto game before? Now, I haven't heard back from him yet.
Well, he says in his review about the other games. He's obviously played the other games.
I know. He talks about the other games. That was sort of my first reaction. It's like, have you ever played any of the other games they've made? Because they're all kind of like this. Mm-hmm. Before I rough him up too much, I should say that I have not played the game yet. As you said, we're recording this on Tuesday. I've got the game, but I have not yet had the chance to play it. So it's possible, I suppose, that he's right. Now, the thing that he says that I certainly agree with is that in the past, the Grand Theft Auto games have attempted to sort of paint the protagonists as anti-heroes, right. People who are doing what they're doing out of perhaps a misguided sense of justice or justification, or people who in some way might have kind of been forced into the situation that they're in. He mentions Nico Bellic from Grand Theft Auto 4 in specific relation to that quality. And that's certainly true. And so the distinction that he's making in saying that, the characters in this game aren't any of those things. They are out for themselves. They are out to enrich themselves, and they are going to harm people in the pursuit of that goal of enriching themselves. And so the picture that he paints, I certainly agree with. If what he's saying is accurate, then yes, I would agree that the characters in this game are a departure from the protagonists in the previous Grand Theft Auto games, based on that criteria. So that could be a fair criticism. But the thing for me, I suppose, is that, and this is kind of my second point, is that I sort of feel like the rationale that he's using is say, well, in the last games, they gave you sort of just a little bit of an olive branch to say, well, I mean, yeah, you're doing really terrible, fucked up, horrible things to the other characters in the game, but you're doing it because you love your family. Or you're doing it because you're an immigrant and you're just falling victim to a corrupt system, or something like that. Sure. And I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, those are really bullshit rationales. I mean, people, they can choose how they want to live their lives and whether or not they want to harm other people in pursuit of their interests and things like that. So I mean, like, even the rationale that he's kind of presenting and say, well, the other games gave us this. It's like, yeah, but I mean, deep down, we all knew that was bullshit too. It was just, sort of a convenient excuse that we could use to not think about it too hard and, hurt ourselves, considering the morality of it.
But isn't that better than no excuse at all from...
I don't know. I mean, isn't it better to kind of be honest and say, look, this is a game about playing a criminal engaged in criminal activities.
That's what I was about to say.
That is what the Grand Theft Auto series is about.
Well, but you are supposed to you are supposed to kind of, because they call, like, the one thing I don't like about this, and I think, because the point that he made, I think you have a very valid point in the sense that, the other titles, kind of did maybe do that, but, hey, this title is not that. These guys it is kind of a little more upfront. The only thing I don't like is, if you go back and watch, like, the trailer for the game, they call them heroes. They don't call them anti-heroes. They don't call them protagonists. They call them heroes. I mean, they're not heroes. I don't really care what happens in the game, at any point. Unless at the very end of the game, they end up throwing themselves into the fiery pits of hell to, like, somehow save the souls of everybody on Earth. They're not going to be heroes. And I don't like the idea. And I will say, because I don't really like, I have, we hear about, fucking violence happen all the time. Unfortunately, we had events happen this past week that, everybody always hears this stuff. And the first thing they do is they blame guns, they blame games, they blame all these things. I do think that
those two things within the first 24 hours, I noticed. There was
absolutely.
I played a lot of video games. I'm like, oh god, here we go.
Well, and absolutely, and here I'm with you in that there's all the scientific evidence is pointed to the fact that that's not the case. But I do think that this is one of those things where it's like, this doesn't help the argument. This doesn't doesn't make it more palatable. The same way we talked about the Wii U needs to be more marketed better. The Wii U needs to be marketed better to do better. I think that in some cases the gaming industry could market themselves a little bit better to have more people slightly believe them more when they come to them with proof that these things don't happen. I do think that it's a little bit of a bad idea that they push these guys as heroes in the game when, let's be honest, they're protagonists. They are the people that drive the story forward. They're the people that get you involved in the situations that you are involved in. The same way that I wouldn't call, say, Tony Soprano a hero, I would call him the protagonist of The Sopranos, because I don't necessarily think that, for the most part, I mean, I'm not saying that every single instance, you don't see some sort of, like, kind of mobster mentality of, like, honor or something like that. I get that to a degree, although I think we really kind of lie to ourselves a lot of times when we say, like, that was a mercy killing and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, let's be honest. I think that they're becoming a little too, sometimes maybe a little too cavalier with it, at least that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just take us back to our conversation when we first found out about there being 3 protagonists in Grand Theft Auto 5, and as again, I've said it, not my type of game, not my cup of tea. I'm not into just mindless kind of running around. It's fun. Like, I've played GTA in the past, and it's fun. It's just the sandbox environment,
impressive.
and if you just want to turn your brain off,
like, get caught up.
It is impressive. Yes. Yeah, I've had a lot of laughs and fun messing around with some friends playing the GTA game. But as far as, like, looking to it for a story, I recall our conversation when they announced 3 characters and kind of giving some insight into who Michael, Trevor, and Franklin were. And my hope at that point was, hey, this might be one of the things that sucks me in, because I can see this really intricate story woven that is kind of just this. This tale that they tell about these contrasting lifestyles between these 3 very different people, but ultimately, maybe there's something at the heart of it. Maybe there's some moral type of thing that's going to happen that, that culminates at the end of the game. And, I don't know, I haven't played it, but from what I'm hearing, not just from The Escapist and from other people, it sounds like it's just senseless, mindless kind of just mayhem.
That doesn't have, like,
as opposed to
behind it, or
that doesn't have a lot of heart. Right.
No, there are hearts on it, but you have to rip hearts out of
but
characters
in the game.
in
somebody's yard.
Yes. No, but which does not necessarily mean, I mean, it doesn't take away from the quality of the game as a game from being just like, is it fun? I mean, can you jump in the car and do whatever? But, again, the things that are going to compel a lot of people, myself included, are the hope that there's something deeper or something behind all of those actions. Just seeing all the crazy stuff you could do in the game, it would be for me personally more interesting if there was some effort put into saying, well, it's for this reason. Ultimately, it rounds out to tell this story. Yeah. But if it's just mindless, kind of just whatever, then it's just, kind of amateurish, I guess. I don't know.
I'm anxious to play it and to find out for myself whether or not I agree, with this criticism of the game that the protagonists are not especially relatable. And as far as just like how that relates to overall narrative, the thing that I would say is that I agree in general it helps to have a relatable protagonist, but that's not to say that you can't challenge the audience to take it someplace else. I mean, specifically in the article, Tito references The Godfather 1 and 2 as being like a good example. That's kind of the thing, is that the transition of Michael Corleone from The Godfather 1, where he is a very relatable character, and you kind of understand his reasons for taking these violent actions, because it is in pursuit of something we kind of relate as being noble. It's to protect his family. Yeah. But then in The Godfather 2, you kind of see the inevitable road that justification leads to, killing people where there is no interest in it other than it's beneficial for me. It's beneficial for, my enrichment to do so. Obviously,
that scares the shit out of me, thinking what then Godfather 3, what road that would take us down.
Well, exactly right. And the moral of Godfather 3 is Francis Ford Coppola needs to save his winery. Please come see Godfather 3.
All right, guys, well, we are coming up near the end of this week's Skirmish, but first, we have our Battle Cries of the week, and my Battle Cry is going to go out to the fact that a little bit of information came out this week that wasn't really new in a way, but it was kind of, I guess, a little bit of an affirmation of something that I'm a little surprised by. So earlier this year, when the Xbox One was announced, they already kind of put out that in the Asian territories, the Xbox One would be released in 2014. And, I don't think anybody's too terribly surprised about that. The Xbox has not done, terribly well overseas comparatively to some of the other platforms. But I will say I kind of held out a little bit of hope that maybe they might try to use, potentially, Sony's kind of push, here recently announcing that the PS4 will not be releasing into Japan until next year. I thought, what? This could be Microsoft's perfect opportunity to try to make some inroads. Because let's be honest with you, people are excited about new consoles. And if someone is told that they're going to have to wait, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, depending on however long it is, and the reason I say 4 or 5 is because you may not be able to still get it on day one. So, I mean, it's potential, a big difference in time of when, we get it here in the States versus when you might be able to get it over there in terms of the PlayStation 4. If Microsoft could have really, and let's be honest, how big is the market in Japan? I mean, not to say that it's tiny, but compared to, like, say, the U.S. market in terms of consoles, it is kind of tiny. They could have put 100,000 units, take 100,000 units out of the supposed millions of units of Xbox Ones they're going to have on shelves, for people to pick up in the States. Send some of those over there. I really think they could make some inroads over there. And to be honest with you, I think that could potentially be a boom for them, and maybe get some outside developers, producing titles on the platform. I don't know, but unfortunately, doesn't look like that's going to happen. They finally kind of came out and said that Japan is definitely getting the Xbox One in 2014, kind of along with the other Asian territories, and apparently when they're getting the PS4 as well. So I don't know. I think a bit of a missed opportunity for Microsoft, but what do I know?
Another missed opportunity.
Another missed opportunity. The only thing I can say is they turn around things all too often, so it's possible that they might just, change it in the next month or so. All right, so DK, what is your battle cry this week?
My battle cry this week goes out to CHYA Entertainment, and I was supposed to visit with them. I don't know if you guys watch GameTrailers TV, the show I co-host, but there was a recent segment on there with CHYA Entertainment that I was supposed to be at until my plane got turned around mid-flight between Denver and Salt Lake City. So
what did you do?
Yeah, which it was pretty crazy. I was like, are you getting me off this plane for some reason? It was crazy. So anyway, so I didn't make that shoot and have the opportunity to sit and reveal the new Infinity Blade game, which is looking pretty cool, the Infinity Blade 3 with Donald Mustard and the gang at CHYA. But best of luck to them with that game. But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that there's talk again about Shadow Complex getting a sequel. And in a recent interview with GameSpot, Mr. Donald Mustard said that they hope to develop a sequel and that they will do it when the time is right. And he said that they certainly love Shadow Complex as much as there are fans out there that want more Shadow Complex, I promise they don't want it more than we do. So my battle cry goes out to Don, who I've known for years, and he's a great guy. Make the game. Just get it done. Find a way, because Shadow Complex was an awesome game, as we all know, anyone who's played it, on the Xbox 360, and we are really looking forward to seeing what they can do with Shadow Complex 2. And it's quite honestly, with all the games that get sequels and all the games that get I don't know, released, and they're kind of good,
remakes and
HD remakes of Flashback and all this stuff that happens. It's like, why can't we get a sequel to a game that people absolutely loved and was a really good game? So that's my battle cry. Find a way to get this thing made, and I'll be first in line to digitally download it, which means I'll be in my underwear.
If you make it, they will come.
That's true.
A porn producer.
Yeah,
yes.
nice.
All right, so Brent, what is your battle cry?
My battle cry this week is twofold in nature. First up,
It's always twofold with you. You can't ever just do one.
Well, they're both relatively small.
It's a genetic problem.
All right. I say that, but I heard that. So first up this week, this video got sent in from an axe head, and I am so sorry that I do not have your name in front of me. I believe this is somebody who sent me this video on Steam. And I do not remember. I don't have my Steam chat in front of me, so I can't reference your name. But I really want to thank you. They sent this to me, and they basically said, "You think DK had anything to do with this," or something to that effect. And the video is a trailer for Leviathan Warships. And Daniel, I know that you have said that you're interested in game marketing and how all that kind of stuff works. And when I watched this trailer, I really understood the horror of what would happen if Daniel Kaiser tried to promote video games. And this trailer is absolutely what you would do if you were given that kind of power.
Did you say horror or horrific glory? Because this trailer is amazing. 900,000 views almost worth of amazing. So if the job is to get people to watch and talk about your video, then it did a good job.
Dude, I have to give it up. This trailer is absolutely one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. It is punishment from beginning to end in the DK sense of the word. But anyway, Daniel, it's hard to not watch this trailer and think of you. You've really carved out a niche for yourself in the world of gaming when people hear this kind of nonsense and immediately associate it with you. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that you need to sue these people.
Yeah, well,
because they are totally ripping off your trademark style.
Well, hey, it is what it is, and I commend them for going out of their way to make a fantastic trailer that has been successful, and not just at the end of the day, it's funny and everyone's laughing at it, but you come away from that trailer knowing exactly what the game does, what you can, and it's actually extremely effective in communicating what is in the game as opposed to trying to sell you with overhype. It's just it took a chance. Comedy is always very risky. Either it completely works or it does fail.
Yeah. But this one, I think, works.
Yeah,
it's pretty damn good, and it makes me want to play the game. I mean, it literally makes me want to play the game, which is exactly what you want. So, hats off to the team at Pieces Interactive and Paradox Interactive for Leviathan Warships, and a really, really great trailer that just happens to look like it was directed by Daniel Kaiser.
I'm on board.
My second. I told you it was a twofer. My second battle cry is a brief one, but it goes out to Ground Control Retro Arcade in the great city of Portland, Oregon. I was there on vacation, and I tell you, as I said on Facebook, it's the most fun that you can have for $5 that's legal. And it is a fantastic arcade in the heart of downtown Portland, Oregon. It's all classic arcade machines on the bottom floor, and up on the top floor you got classic pinball machines, Star Trek The Next Generation, The Addams Family, Terminator, Indiana Jones, so many great pinball machines that I remember playing as a youth.
So pissed off looking at your pictures because you know how big of a pinball fan I am.
I know I am, dude. I know I am, and like
did you flip out when you saw those pictures?
Please,
oh God, it's already. I mean, Jesus.
It's just like reignited him. It's like he was talking about passing.
He
on
just
back
got refueled.
runs.
He just passed through like a refueling stop now, and he's just.
That's exactly right. So anyway, but yeah, so Ground Control in Portland, Oregon. If you ever have the opportunity, if you're ever in the vicinity and you can make it to Ground Control, definitely go there. Every gamer has got to do it if they can.
Especially if your name is Major Tom.
You know, everybody makes that joke, and like the entire time I was in there, I was singing that song in my head. Like I just couldn't stop. But it's strange you say that, or not. But
oddly enough,
We're
Daniel is
extremely
dressed just like David Bowie right now. That's
What else is new? What else is new?
All right, so DK, I think you have our member battle cry this week.
I do, actually, and I picked this one out because it is mercilessly attacking me, and I thought it'd be fun to read it. So, no, not mercilessly. It's a point by a user, and it's a good, valid point, and I am
if
always...
it's attacking you, it's got to be valid.
Sure, it's got to be valid. Yeah. Lindsay Carter is who submitted our member battle cry this week, and it goes a little something like this. Sigh. Well, I saw the headline and the tag for this episode, and I was really, all caps, wary to listen to it in regards to Mighty Number 9. I was going to come into this with my torch and pitchfork, but I'd rather just keep it light and simple. Look, I love EBA and its community, but not everyone is going to share the same opinion. I could sit here and write paragraph after paragraph and my beef with Sir Daniel Kaiser, that's me, and concerning his rhetoric on Devil's Advocate and Kickstarters, but I will agree to disagree. I will say this, though, to me, you should know better. Probably doesn't sound like that.
I was going to say, like, I don't think she wrote it like that. Like, it sounded a lot more calm in her version.
Yeah. Okay, so it goes on. My issue here is the fact that an argument was voiced without all the facts. At that point, it just makes it an unprofessional opinion. Do you know the issues and the trials and tribulations Inafune has had at Capcom with the Mega Man franchise? Read yo shit. But do you know why this is being made? It is being made for the fans! Exclamation point. It's being made because Mega Man deserves a successor in this day and age where inspiration is clearly lacking in big name publisher houses, where you obviously can't have Joe Schmo coming up with new ideas and having them made that easily. Do you honestly believe Inafune and his team wouldn't have done this sooner had they had the resources and backing while working at Capcom? I can't help but shake my head. Anyhow, I plead with everyone, if you're interested in this project, go through the entire Kickstarter because it has a ton of goodies with interviews, podcasts, etc., alongside of many questions and answers many of you probably have concerning Mighty Number 9 itself. This game is going to be made for the fans and by the fans.
That's it. That was in bold, though. Like, that might have sounded like,
this game is
going to be made for...
You know, that's where...
Drop the mic and walk away. Hey, go ahead.
Can I just say something? Like, I never actually pay attention to what I'm saying during the podcast. Did we beat up?
No.
Did we beat it up that bad? I really thought that we just kind of said, like, it's got the same Kickstarter problems.
A little bit,
since this was basically directly addressed to me, let me just respond. Absolutely awesome. I feel fantastic that fans of Mega Man and fans of Inafune have an opportunity to voice their opinion with their wallets and do this.
As I was saying when you were burning a picture of him in effigy.
No. What I was saying last week is something that I still hold true to, and that is that, Kickstarter as a platform for me is more compelling when it's about the little guys having an opportunity to establish something that they never would have done anyway.
Like sperm.
Yeah. So this being the case, though, of course, I have been familiarized with Inafune and kind of, his road to production with this, but at the same time, I think it is what it is. Every situation, every story is different. This is a particular situation where somebody who is a great developer, great creative entity wants to make something. His studio, his publisher is not letting him do it, so he turns and almost in kind of just a way of being able to flip the bird and say, look, we can't accomplish this with or without you, and we're going to do that. Well, great, more power to him, and it's great. Everything on an individual basis. What I was saying last week, just to clarify, was that for me, things that emerge out of a platform like this that didn't have any of the prior momentum or recognition or a gigantic fan base like something like Mega Man are, to me personally, more compelling projects on that platform. But I, of course, as I did state last week as well, wish the best to everybody who wants to support this, including Lindsay Carter. And, it's always just good to see people get what they want and good games be made. But my point about the Kickstarter thing stands.
Okay,
So what I'm hearing is that you hate Inafune and Mega Man, and that anybody that likes him should die.
That's what you heard.
What I'm hearing.
I guess.
Okay, just to make sure.
So the thing that's, I think, very fascinating about this, and I think that Lindsay's battle cry does point this out rather well, is the whole thing with Kickstarter, and I can remember like talking about this like way back when, and admittedly at the time it sounded kind of pie in the sky, but the whole idea that we don't need video game publishers anymore.
Right.
That the idea that that you don't need that person with their wallet. You don't have to convince them and say, listen, Mr. Person with a really big wallet, we want to make this game and we think it's a really good idea, and they go, nah, and that game doesn't get made. That is no longer an impediment, to a good idea coming about. And so I think that this whole situation with Inafune is really kind of instructive in the sense that it's literally, the situation is literally Inafune saying, hey, there's this hugely popular franchise that, we've both been involved with, you and I and Capcom, that we've both been involved with in the past, and we want to bring it into the 21st century. We want to do the modern incarnation of it. And they're like, nah. And he's like, okay, well, if you won't do it, I know the fans out there want it, and so I'll just go straight to them. And in a sense, I think that is very emblematic of my, as opposed to like what you're talking about, Daniel, it's very emblematic of my impression of Kickstarter, in that it is a platform that connects entrepreneurs, creators, innovators directly with their audience. And I think that this situation does really illustrate that quality and that potential that Kickstarter has to allow great ideas to come to fruition, whether or not the bean counters at a venture capital firm think it's a good idea or not.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And if what I was saying last week was in contrast to that, that's not what I really want or intend. So I will just say that, yes, I agree that is another aspect of the platform that is a good thing about it, is that ultimately creativity wins out, and what people want as consumers, they have an opportunity to speak their mind, whether it's on a big scale or a large or a small scale. So there you go.
All right, so that is going to do it for this week's Skirmish. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this week, and please join us once again next week when we might be better prepared and not have such a
Probably not.
Maybe record a little earlier.
For Daniel Kaiser, for Britt Adams, I'm your host, Tony Grice. And remember, cry havoc, and Daniel hates puppies. I'm just putting that out there.
No, that is not true. I'm allergic to cats, so I could deal with the whole.
So you do hate cats. All right. I'm glad we're getting to the subject matter here.
But I definitely don't not. I definitely don't.
You definitely don't not throw them into like churns.
Sounds like you're awfully defensive, which probably means you think Tony's right.
You can say what you want about the cats. My point is that I love dogs. I love dogs.
So you like bestiality is what you're saying?
Yes. We're getting somewhere now, you sick bastard.
Hey, at the beginning it's a little rough, but anyway.